groundswell of business use cases start to come to fruition. Everything from teachers using VR to make their classes more immersive and more connecting with their students, to doctors using VR to enhance physical and mental therapy for their patients, real estate, design engineering, the list goes on. We're seeing the most traction, the soonest, in VR for corporate training. And that's why we're here. So hopefully, last week you saw the Walmart announcement where they've committed to deploy Oculus Go's with Striver training in all 4.5 thousand of their stores in the US. Pretty amazing. We'd like to start by giving you in the audience a glimpse into what Walmart and Striver are doing to bring training to Walmart employees on the Oculus Go.
One of my goals, as you well know, was to make that the best store in Arkansas. We tried to take care of our customers as best we could. It's quite a story, but the success we've had is because of our people.
This is your VR headset. You're just gonna place that on. Let's hold your remote there.
Welcome to Walmart training. For customers.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Click each marker to learn about the different types of orders that we
It's very detailed.
I mean, it feels like I'm standing in front of the tower.
I think I could touch that.
I'm in the front of the
I see
store.
an associate right here on the side.
It wants me to scan a
I
package.
just dispensed an order.
Hearing about it versus, seeing it and doing it is totally different.
This is like hands-on training.
This kind of training that helps with making it faster because once you hit the floor with this, you know what you're doing.
It makes people want to learn more.
Hands-on training is important for customer service, which is everything.
This enhancement would unify the company.
So Andy, I have to say when we first met, you casually told me that you were going to train 1 million people in VR in the next, 12 to 18 months, give or take. Tell me where that story began for you.
What really started it was the academies, which I'm responsible for. So the academies in Walmart is the place we train all of our associates on how to do their job. So as you're promoted to a new role, you come to the academy. There's 200 locations spread across the U.S. They're all attached to an active store, and we do functional and leadership training on the associates so they're prepared to do their next role. And so we had these, we started rolling these out about 3 years ago, and we just completed all 200 this year. And we met Striver and started looking at VR on a way to do scenarios that we couldn't necessarily or didn't want to recreate in an active store. So we spend a lot of time in the academies on the sales floor. So probably 70% of the time that we're training them, they're doing activities or actually real life stuff on the sales floor. But what we realized is you don't want to break a store to teach somebody when things go wrong because you've got customers coming through and it just creates a bad experience. And so what we do in the academies is we start to use VR to create situations that we don't want to happen on the sales floor. So whether it's a spill, an accident, a bad customer service situation, severe weather, lots of different scenarios. And so we started really small with some, what we have is a produce area. It's called a wet wall, where all the produce is, and it's wet, right, because of leafy vegetables. And that's one of our biggest challenges, to keep that stocked and keep it fresh. And so we did a VR experience with Striver on what a bad one looks like and how to identify what works and what doesn't work. And it was super successful. So we started to expand that out to other areas. And so when you think about the platform that we had, the 200 locations, we run probably 7,000 associates through those every week. We're at 360,000 associates this year that we've trained through the academies, and all of them have gone through VR. It started to give us the ability to test different things and try it in a very controlled environment, because we have associates that do the training every day. They're former operators, and we script the curriculum, so we're very specific and know that every single academy teaches the exact same thing in the exact same way on the exact same day. So we had a very clear platform that we could measure of what the benefit was or what it wasn't. And then it grew from there. And so the reason VR works for us in certain situations is it becomes experiential learning instead of just a lesson that we taught. And so the associate feels like they were there and they remember it differently. So we test everybody at the end of each week of the training to make sure they have to pass the certification test to get promoted to the next role. And what we've seen is the test scores for folks that go through VR are higher than those that don't, because it becomes an experience and they just remember it as they move on.
It's awesome.
And to add to that, in our company, a lot of people we eat our own dog food, so we do train on our own training as well that we create for our customers. And with that wall, I can tell you that every time we walk into Walmart store, we don't look at that wall the same again. We can point out to you all the mistakes that are wrong with that and how much produce they're going to lose if they're not going to fix it. That's how real and memorable it is.
Yeah, so in my role at Walmart, one of the opportunities I have is to really look for new tech and find ways to roll that out. One of those was arming our store managers with iPads, arming them with applications to get them engaged on the sales floor and really bring that information to life there. At that same time, VR was kind of out there. It was coming. This is 2 or 3 years ago, but you didn't really see any enterprise functions outside of those that were being used in the armed forces and that type of scenario. Had actually stumbled upon Striver there down at the University of Arkansas because everybody kept talking about how in the sports realm they were using VR and it was effective. Anytime you hear that, you go, well, I want to go see what they're doing and see what they're bringing to life. And so literally went down, put a headset on, did some quarterback drills. But what really came to life was, as all of you just heard from Andy, and he's humble about it, but what the Academies is really phenomenal. There's 200 across the U.S. It's not just a table and chairs and a facilitator walking through content. It's an experience just to go to the Academy. So as I watch these quarterbacks go through all this training and understanding of, getting the repetitions in a safe environment to really make them better at making decisions and those type things, saw it, ran back to Andy knowing how we could implement this into the Academy. We kind of ideated on how we're going to bring this to life. Because as you think about a Walmart store, as Andy talked about, though the Academies are attached to the store, it's great. And everybody says, well, why don't you just do video? What were those scenarios that we could talk about that we couldn't create in a store, right? Yes, bad customer service happens, but if a few of us are standing there, it most likely doesn't happen the way it does when it's a one-on-one experience. And it's one of those moments when you create those scenarios, bad customer service, severe weather, it's the moments that you hope never happen, but they do. Even with severe weather, it happens. And how do you bring that to life in a safe environment so that when our associates had those, they're really prepared the best that we could have them set up, and they're comfortable and confident, and they're not afraid of those moments when they do happen because they know how to react and know how to act on them. And we've learned a lot from Striver. Yelena, you've taught us the RIDE scenario, acronym, and just kind of how that comes to life.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. Definitely. So we bring to the table, we come from the learning and development perspective, using the data and how learning and development best happens in VR. And so RIDE acronym is one thing that if you walk away remembering from here, that will be that. And I'm glad that our Walmart team already remembers that. It's rare, impossible, dangerous, and expensive. And those are the best use cases that you can teach in VR. What is rare? Black Friday was one of the first experiences we have done with the team here. And really that rush that you have to show associates when people are running at you at the store and at the feeling that you get, it's really hard to reproduce. You can watch the video, but really to experience it, you have to put it in VR. Something that is impossible, maybe less applicable in a Walmart experience, but if you're on a production line and there are accidents happen, it's not something that you really want to train your new employees on all the time by making those accidents happen. But it's definitely something that you can put in VR and have people train in a safe environment. Dangerous. Construction sites might be one of those good examples that you can think of training people on where you need the safe environment. And expensive. We all know trading costs a lot of money. Why does it cost a lot of money? You have to fly people into one location in order to train them. You have to hire people that would train those associates as well. And if you think about the soft skills training, especially in our digital age right now, that's one of the important skills to train, and only 5% of the big companies usually have access to the best leadership trainings. But VR allows you to bring it to life to a wider population.
Yeah, I think one of the most impactful ones that we've done, Elena, is there's a difficult conversations module that we do where you have to have an accountability conversation and a termination conversation with an associate. And so in the VR, we've built, in 7 sites, we've built VR rooms where you can do truly interactive virtual reality, where it films you and there's cameras and records you. And so you have this conversation with the associate, and you go back and forth. They respond back to you, and you ask questions, and they ask questions back and have responses. And then it flips it, because it records your body movements, your head movements, where you look, what you say, and it flips it on the associate. So now you watch yourself give yourself feedback. And so you're literally firing yourself, and you watch how that happens. And it is extremely impactful when you are able to watch the way you move, where you look, how you act, what you say. I mean, it's been very impactful for our associates on how to have better, more engaging conversations and not say things that we wish they hadn't said.
They basically put you in situations where you feel. And when you feel something, you're going to remember it better. You're going to retain that information more, and you're going to learn.
It was really starting to turn a point from training people on how to do their job, but to the example Andy just gave, we started to get into this space where we were helping people just become better leaders, better managers. You know, it's hard to get training content to every cashier and to every sales floor associate. How do you get them engaged? And it takes time to train. And with this, we can take a 3 or 4 minute module that's really impactful and really invest in our frontline associates to make them not only better at their job, that's important, but when they leave the 4 walls of a Walmart, we're going to make them feel more confident in themselves and how they can impact their community as a whole, and just make them, great associates, not only for Walmart, but outside.